Hello everybody and welcome back to RainBro Crafts. My name is Colton and today I will be making for you the second soap in our 50 Shades of Green March collection, and that soap is entitled Trailhead. This is actually a remake of a soap we made last year, I believe, also by the same name. It is scented with sweet scented Pacific Trail from Bramble Berry, and when we were designing this collection, we were picking scents that embodied the color of green, and when I think of a trailhead and the Pacific Northwest, I think of like lush forests, ferns, evergreen trees, all that kind of stuff. And so this scent was a must. The one thing that I remembered about this scent while I was designing it is that it does discolor to a pretty dark brown, not like chocolate bar brown, but it definitely discolors to a brown tone. So I am picking colors to kind of be enhanced by that property. So my first bar or batch of soap, I should say, has my darkest green color. I then have that fragrance oil which has notes of citrus, iris, jasmine, leather, patchouli, oakwood, and some musk as well. I also have it in river clay, which is what that muddy thing looks like there. I'll strain that in and then I'll blitz that up with my stick blender. Like I said, this is gonna discolor this bar pretty radically. And I actually have a picture of, I think this was like the day after we sliced the soap, and you can see the like crazy color shift on the screen, and I kind of love that. And when you're designing soap, you want to take that property, that color changing property into consideration, because nothing is more disappointing than having like these beautiful light bright colors and have used like a vanilla scented fragrance oil and it discolor to like dark brown and then you can't see anything. So always pay attention, that's my number one tip, to the testing notes of your fragrance suppliers, because if they are a reputable source, they're gonna have testing notes and they're gonna have if the fragrance oil discolors or not in whatever craft you're doing. Usually, at least in our personal experience, cold process soap, that's what we're looking for, is if it discolors or not. Another indicator is if it has vanilla scent in it, especially if it has vanillin in it, that is going to discolor your soap. So you want to keep an eye out for that. The higher the percentage, the darker brown your soap is going to turn. So if it's like a small percentage, it might just turn it to a tan color. If it's a higher percentage, it's going to turn it to look more like a Hershey's chocolate bar. This is, like I said, not quite Hershey's chocolate bar color, but it definitely gets a darker brown color. For the first, actually for all of my batches of soap that I am doing for this 50 Shades of Green collection, I was wanting to do like a repetitive design but different ways. So the avocado blossom video that I posted last, and I'll put a card up in the corner there, was a gradient green design. So I'm going to take that gradient green design and change it on its head a little bit. So I have my darkest green on that bottom layer there, and then I'm going to repeat the soaping process with a slightly lighter green to hopefully have a lighter color in the middle layer. So we're going to add our lye water. We already have our mica suspended in the oil because I was doing 3 batches, not all at the same time, but basically back to back to back. I wanted to have everything as done as possible, so when I added my lye water and my fragrance oil and all of those things, I was ready to go. Especially if this was going to accelerate. I didn't remember this accelerating, and it definitely did not. You can see I tried to do some spoon swoops with my scraper there before I started the second batch, and it didn't really do a whole heck of a lot. So that's why I'm going back in and making my second batch. Now I'm going back in and using my spatula there to make some really big swoops. So I wanted this to kind of look like mountains or evergreen trees, something more along those lines, whereas the avocado blossom fragranced bar are Shades of Jade soap was a little more organic and planty, like the soft round leaves of a jade plant, because that was the inspiration that I was taking there. And I probably could have waited just a little bit longer, but when you're making 3 batches of soap at the same time, sometimes you don't have the luxury of time. And you can even see between the first slab and the second slab, the consistency of the soap has changed. The spoon swoops are much more sharp and more defined. So you just want to be able to move a little expediently, if you will. This fragrance oil by no means was a misbehavior. It behaved lovely. It's great to work with. It's beautiful. It smells great. It discolors, but if you expect that, then that's okay. This does look like my hand is in the soap batter there, but it's definitely not. And I'm just going to repeat the same technique on all 3 slabs. One thing that I keep meaning to do, and I don't know why I haven't done it because it's like $2 to do, is to get like a long ruler or like a stick even, just to make sure that I could do really straight lines, because that really would help. Also to mark again where the loaves are separated, because I'm just kind of eyeballing this, and ideally I wanted the mohawks to be in the center of each of the loaves when I cut this up. After I do that swoop, I am going to get some copper mica in my little tea strainer thingy, and I'm going to dust the tops of all of my soap to make a nice mica line, because I wanted to differentiate the colors a little bit. I was a little worried that the discoloration would make the definition a little less defined than I was wanting. We will then repeat all of this again, just with a slightly less green batch of soap. So I'm gonna blitz everything up, and I will just speed through this really, really quickly because we just watched this once already. And then I'm going to pour my soap batter into the hollows of where the mohawk / tree / mountain peak isn't. So I guess the valleys, that's probably a better term, because the bottom layer of soap is still a little malleable, and this way I'm not flattening my peaks. The Shades of Jade soap was accelerating a little bit, and so I didn't have to worry so much about that. This batter stayed loose for much longer, and I didn't want to squash anything with the weight of the soap batter that I was pouring on top of this. So it's just an added layer of protection, especially when you're wanting that like definition between the layers of soap. You also do this if you're maybe doing embeds, which we don't really do a ton of embeds, but like if you're doing like soap columns, in here you would do like the layer, place the soap column, and then pour around the sides, tapping out air bubbles as needed. And that just makes sure nothing moves if you didn't want it to move. You can see that the batter is rising just a little tiny bit, but that's nothing to worry too much about. I do also have, and I didn't mention this before, but I have exfoliant in the soap batter. I have some coconut husk and I have some pumice. So it is a little gritty, which you can kind of see that on the camera, but it was rising just a little bit. Nothing to worry about. If you do have soap batter that's rising, usually you can just stick blend it and that'll fix it. It'll like reincorporate everything. Sometimes you can't, most of the time you can. All right, and then it is on to soap batch number 3, and we are going to repeat the process. I'm going to let the batch number 2 that I just made, and it's in the slabs, harden up just a little bit, and I'm going to blitz up that 3rd batch. Same fragrance, same everything, just less green like before. So we'll just blitz this up, and I'll speed up the camera because you just saw this as well. All right, and we'll get our spatula, just being careful to not go too far into the next layer of soap because I don't want to drag up any of that copper mica that I placed down. So I do want to be a little careful. Also, I want to try and remember where I have my valleys and where I have my peaks, because if I am off a little bit, obviously the peaks of the bottom layer are going to be higher than the valleys, and the likelihood that I drag up some of that mica is going to be higher, and I do not want that. I'm trying to fix the valleys and the peaks a little bit before I kind of sped forward, because I feel like something was a little like cattywampus here between the, or at least on that first slab there. Now that I'm happy with that, I'll agitate my soap batter just a little bit to loosen it back up, and then I'll add in my fragrance oil. If you're ever doing kind of complex designs or waiting for other layers to set up, you can always just not add the fragrance until right before you're ready to pour it, because most often that's what accelerates the soap batter is the fragrance oil. Usually colorant doesn't do that unless it has titanium dioxide in it, then that sometimes will accelerate things a little bit. So it just adds an extra layer of security. I'll then repeat what I did before. I'll put some copper mica on my second layer there, between the second layer and the first layer, making sure I don't have any bald spots, and then we will blitz up that soap batter again just to make sure our fragrance oil is incorporated along with that sea clay and the exfoliant that I have in there as well. And then I'll speed this up also because we've seen it before, but I'm going to again pour into the valleys of the soap, trying not to get too much on the peaks of the soap so that I don't smush everything down. I also am going with the middle and the last slab first because I did futz around a little bit with that first slab, so the one on the far right, before I put that mica line down, so I want that to have the most opportunity to set up possible. Again, I am using my spatula to break the fall of that batter because I would hate to have my lines, my mica lines and my layers to get like pushed down into for me getting a little excited and pouring too much soap batter in too quickly. And then I'm just eyeballing this again just to try and make it as even as possible between the 3 layers of soap. I will say, and this is a little bit of spoiler, but you're going to see it here pretty soon anyways, is that I did have to scoop some soap batter from one slab and put it into the other slab because it was not quite even enough. You can even see it on the screen here. The far right slab is a little low, whereas the one on the far left is a little high. Normally this isn't a huge deal if you're doing a drop swirl or something because it's already a little messy, but when you're doing layers, especially with mica and different colors, it does add an extra layer of complexity. Now, I do have some bad news for this video as well, and it is that the slicing and unmolding portion of the video was lost. It was lost on the SD cards. Can't find it anywhere. So I will put a picture up on the corner of the screen here so you can see what the soap actually looks like once it is fully cured and we have beveled it and made it look all pretty. But this soap is one of my favorites. I really like this whole collection actually. They all were very fun to do. My question for you all, and this might actually have been the question from the first trailhead video, is do you like to go hiking? And if so, what kind of hike is your favorite hike? I love it. I love the outdoors. Not like anything crazy like 50-mile hikes through like the mountains or whatever, but like a nice couple mile hike, especially like along the Columbia Gorge here in Vancouver or in Washington and Oregon. It's great. Zach hates hiking. He will not ever go. I one time bribed him to go hiking because I said it was fully paved, and it definitely was only like 25% paved, so he didn't have a great time. If you do want to get this soap or any of our soap sent to your house each and every month, we do have a subscription service directly on our website, rainbrocrafts.com. I do want to give a big, huge shout out to all of our subscribers. They are listed on the screen here. They make this channel possible. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video, comment down below if you like hiking or not. Also subscribe to the channel and ring that bell icon so you get notified when we release new videos. Thanks. Bye.